this song go hype. I keep zooming the scene. Gabby hop on team. You know I'm a baseline fiend. Did you rinse the bass so my bass looks mean? Mean in the face, put a fun hype lyrical flow. Yeah, you know that sound tight. Shaking this beat's gonna sound right. Baseline drops, I'ma make this song go hype.
Okay, so I'm going to start at the front with the walkthrough. First thing I did was the headlights. One of the first things I did on the car was change it to the headlights to LED. The standard lights are like having a couple of candles at the front of the car. I got some JW speaker 7-inch, I think they're called Evolution, and you can not see much there because they're pretty dirty at the moment, but yeah, they are a significant upgrade. Highly recommend it. Just day-to-day driving at night makes a massive difference. Then later down the track, I've also converted all the lights now are LED on the car. So I've just got a cheapo eBay 90mm fog light that I've put in the Parker. And up here, that's a Hella LED indicator, and also the side indicators are LED too. And I think I got them from Mud Stuff. I think I got both of them from Mud Stuff. Then I got the bull bar. That's a tubular bull bar from Rovercraft. It's actually pretty good. It's copped a knock. As you can see there's a little bit of a dent, and you know, I probably need to get a new one because there's zero gap there, and if that gets another hit I'll probably be in a bit of trouble. But in terms of looks and strength, it's been great. Can't complain about it. Actually got a few things from Rovercraft, they're really good. Infantry Gully. So I've got the light bars as well, just steady. I think this is a 17-inch, and up there's a 48-inch, and they're really good because they're just pretty hidden and just mold into the car really well. A lot of people ask me about this thing. This thing does nothing. It's just for looks. It's a little vent. I think the heating, when you've got the circulation going, takes the heat air into the car. So I bought one. It was a custom job. I bought it off eBay off some bloke from London or England, and it came in a stainless steel, and I powder coated it black. So it's really nothing, just for looks. Got a Runbar 11 XP winch. It's pretty good. I've put it one day at Alice Track, put it through its paces the whole day and did not disappoint. I've got that running on a isolation switch and in cabin control, so in out inside the cabin. That I don't have to hook up any remotes or anything, so that's really good. And I've also got this Factor 55 winch attachment, I guess you'd call it. Yeah, I hit my hook a couple of times and it got damaged, so I just trying one of these and it's been fine. Also some recovery points at the front. I put these into the tubular bar, double up, and number plate is pretty battered these days, so yeah, that's and then we go down here and I've got the steering dampener and the heavy duty steering arms. So I used to have the steering arm protection, but it sort of started getting caught up on things and was more of a hindrance. So I've been running without one for a while and it sort of hasn't been an issue. So, you know, I don't know, depends. Gives me a bit more clearance, so that's why I've done that. And then we have my UHF antenna. Look, I don't really know too much about the antenna, it does the job. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say to that. And I also changed my antenna. There's my one never went down, it always stayed up, so I wanted to get rid of that and have something that wasn't going to be getting damaged while I'm off-road by trees and whatever. So this one's pretty good, it's pretty flexible, so yeah, that's a good thing that I've done. And then I've also got this safari snorkel that was that is sealed using the Nugget Stuff sealing kit. So if you run a snorkel on a Defender, it's pretty much, it's not going to get sealed unless you seal it yourself, or you get Nugget Stuff's kit, and that just goes from the airbox to the snorkel, so it's completely sealed. So inside the engine bay, we've got that sealing kit is there. If you can see that sort of ribbed tube, that goes from the snorkel all the way to this airbox. And you know, I did a couple of deep river crossings one time and I was going into limp mode, so that was obviously water getting in somewhere, and actually had to take water out of the airbox one time. So now I have no issues. I've also got silicone hoses for all the turbo pipes, and if you can see there, maybe, yeah, so I don't know if you can see that, there it is. And so they're from Bell Auto Service. I got that along with the ECU tune, so I'm running a 170 ECU tune and the high flow intercooler, which you probably you can't see it, but it's in there. And really that's all I've done to the engine. The only other thing in terms of the engine bay is that under this vent I have a water pump. So I don't know if you're actually going to see that, probably not. So I've got a water pump there, in there, and that is connected to a heat exchange, which is there, if you can see that. That's the heat exchange. So that runs out to here on the bull bar. And if we want to have a hot shower at any point, I just hook up my hose with the shower head on it and run a hose from there to a water source, from the water pump to a water source, and basically I've got hot water on tap. So that is pretty, it's a luxury, probably don't need it, but yeah, look, I want to be as comfortable as possible, and if I can get some hot water while I'm camping, that's really good. Now going over to the roof rack. The roof rack is just a imitation tradesman roof rack that I bought off eBay. Cost me about $450 or something, and it's pretty good. It's really nice and low down to the roof. In fact, to the point of where maybe it's too low because these brackets are probably touching the roof, but anyway, we'll deal with that when it's a problem. So yeah, tradesman roof rack. I've got my high lift, which stays on the car all the time. Actually had to use it this trip because some bushes went, and I don't even know how it happened, but the washer came onto the other side of the bush, so I had to jack the car up to get it all aligned. So the high lift is handy. I also put my shovel up there. My shovel is here. Yeah, I've also got this jack cover, and it's really good. I used to buy the neoprene ones, but they just lasted a couple of months because sitting in the sun they would just rot, and this one I think is going to last forever. I've also got the steady. They're 8-inch lights on the back, just some work lights if I need to light up at camp or whatever, for whatever reason. And then I've got up here a dual Jerrycan holder. That's from Front Runner. It's been really good. I actually smashed, probably due to my driving, not anything else. One of them I lost in Tasmania because I hit a tree and it just fell out, and I didn't even realise till about 100 k's later. And other than that, I've just got the awning off that. I only run that now when we go camping. I've found that when I do my harder day trips, if a branch gets caught between the roof rack and the awning, it has actually bent it, so I've had to hit it back a bit. But yeah, that's about it with the roof. Now we'll go sort of to the side of the car. This you probably haven't even noticed, but I now have a gull wing on the driver's side. After our Tasmania trip, getting to things on that side, so I have my toolbox, my chainsaw, and a water jerry on that side. And getting to that, especially in Tasmania where we had to fill up the water all the time, was a massive pain in the ass. So I now have one there, which is really good. So access is amazing. So you can just open that up and no worries, just get to everything. Really good for access to. I basically had half of that, now I have full use of that. What else have I got on the side? I've got the arches. They're, at the moment, they're flat dog arches. They get painted. I have to cut them back, because if I don't cut them back, I foul on the tyres. Especially the front, when I'm turning and it's tucked, they rub massively, but at the moment they don't. So they get from Flat Dog. I've got these. I wish somebody made some arches that would last, because these not bolt holes, the screw holes, they just rip through really easily. So this side's alright, but the other side sort of just, as soon as it gets caught on something, they just rip right through. So anybody out there that wants to make some good Defender arches that are wide for like 35s and over, I would buy some, and that look like this, because there is some out there, but they've got like a bit of a fold on them, and I don't like them. These look great because they continue the stock look. So yeah, they're alright for what they are, but yeah, if you go hard off-roading, you're probably going to go through a few pairs. Then the other thing I've got is the Margaux rock slider. Once I started doing harder off-road trips, that was a no-brainer, so I don't damage my doors and seals. And they're really good, from Expedition Centre, I think, up in Queensland. So yeah, that's about it for the side, on this side. And if I go around to this side, I've got the other gull wing, which gives me access to the fridge. Yeah. So again, nice and easy, just easy access. So yeah, that's about it for both sides. Over to the rear of the car. Couple of things I've done there. I have Margaux rear corner bumperettes. They protect the corners. I had a bad prang once. I just reversed into a car by accident and they just folded. So after that, I decided to get these. They just bolt to the rear cross member, and they're really good because they just take the brunt of everything, and they're even like a bit of a step, so you can get up on the tyre or whatever you want. I've got the Mantec wheel carrier. It's nice and close to the body. That's why I went with Mantec. It's the only other one I was considering was a Rigid Dig one, and I think that's a good 50 plus mil off the back of the car, and it has this locking mechanism where this is just you open the door and that's it. So that's on a gas strut inside, that has a gas strut, and that sort of holds the door open. I've also got a little reverse camera which is here, that is connected to my Alpine sat nav, but we'll go through that a bit later. And down here I've got a APT fuel guard, and that has also been great because that definitely copped some hits, and yeah, you don't want to be damaging your fuel tank or making dents in it to make it less capacity. I've also got the front runner rear ladder. That just gives me easy access to the roof. I can use the Margaux rear corner bumperette, step up on that, and then step up onto the ladder and get up onto the roof pretty easily. And the only other thing probably I have here is nugget stuff again, recovery point. So that black pit, that's the that just bolts to the rear cross member, and then that's just the TJM shackle that I've got there, and I'll leave that there, and anytime I get in trouble, that is all good. And also here I've got this Msa Rubbish Bag, and I reckon it's a really good quality item. I've seen some other ones, they just look like they're going to fall apart within the first 3 trips. This is really well built, and I think it'll last forever. So driveline, look, I've got front and rear Ashcroft air lockers. They're a lot better than the ARB. From what I've heard, they get rid of the seal problem that the ARBs have. What else have I done? I have the axles are high tough front and rear, so they're chromoly axles, and Ashcroft CVs. So this is all been done to take the 35-inch tires. And I also have a center ATB for my center diff from Ashcroft. So it works sort of like an LSD, but between the 4 wheels. And what else have we got down here? And I've also got, so if we go straight into suspension as well, I've got these, oh, look at that. I've just seen the bushes gone. That's good. Anyway, rear trail arms are from Gwyn Lewis. I've got them on both sides, obviously. Just needed to beef up the rear trail arms because I'd heard some stories where they would just bend and then you've got problems with your axles. I'm running Coney 88 series shocks. They're in a long travel, so they've got the high amount up here, and there are the Les Richmond coils with dislocation cones, and really that's about it that I've done to the suspension. Tyres and rims. Obviously you guys know that I'm running Maxxis Trepidors now. They're a street compound, they're not the stickies. They're still probably the best thing I've ever had off-road. I've had Nitto Trail Grapplers, I've had the KM2 BF Goodrich. I think these annihilate both of those. The only thing with that is you have to run them on beadlocks. So I've got beadlock rims. They're a custom job. They're a mix of 2 rims. I've got the inners of dynamic steel rims, and they've been welded to the outers of like a Nissan Patrol beadlock rim from Dynamic as well. And that just, you really need beadlocks for these tyres just to be able to get the most out of them. So it's off-road anyway, so that's the reason I've got them, and they work really good. So the interior, one of the first things I did was Alpine Sat Nav. It's okay. It's been playing up a little bit when it folds back. It doesn't really want to fold on its own. I probably left it out when I was off-road, which isn't great for it. If I had my time again, I'd probably look at doing a proper 7-inch screen where you change that center fascia. But it is what it is. So I've got that. I've got the UHF mounted on that side. I can easily reach that from the driver's side. I've got the ram mount just bolted to, there's that screw there, but on this side. So, and this, I don't have to put my phone in my cup holders anymore. I can just chuck it in that, and even off-road it's really good, it doesn't move. So that's that. I've got these buttons, switches, carling switches, the compressor, the rear locker, the front locker, the winch in out, and the winch is on an isolator, so it'll only work when I turn that on. And down here is the red arc dual battery gauge that just shows the voltage. What else have we got here? I've got the Mud Stuff LED inside, Momo steering wheel. That the stock steering wheel is like a bus, so made it a bit smaller, a bit easier to drive with. I really like it. I don't know if everybody's cup of tea, but that was massive for me. And the other thing is I've got this Mud Stuff door handle, and that just to eliminate the door handle rubbing on my leg. I've still got the passenger one like that. I don't get any complaints on that side, but for me on long trips especially, that was rubbing into my leg, so I had to get rid of that. I've also got Recaro Specialist M seats, and there I've put black duck canvas seat covers on them because, I mean, they're really nice seats, and they're a custom job with leather, partial leather and cloth. But where I take it, obviously you can see they get a bit dirty, so I want to try and keep them intact as long as possible. And the only other thing I can show you with the interior is I've put a light in here, so it works off this switch, turns off, turns on as it closes, as it opens. And I found that's really handy when camping, especially because you can't see anything while you're there. The rear, it's pretty basic. I've built a shelf here that just is flush with the arches. So now I have like this big flat floor where I can put the fridge right up against the gull wing, my toolbox up against that window, and in the center here sits this little kitchenette box from Drifter, which is a custom job. So that goes up here in the middle, and all the camping gear, like the chairs and my awning extensions and grill and all that goes there. And then up there on the roof I've got a netting from Mud Stuff, so it's like a cargo net for the roof. And up there I put our sleeping bags, our pillows, and our mattresses. So just trying to utilize as much space as possible. And the only other thing probably is here I have just mounted a little cargo net for a first aid kit on the rear door. You can see that gas strut I was talking about earlier. That was fouling on the plastic, so I just cut that back because it kept popping it off. And also over here I have, this is where I've mounted my compressor, which runs the lockers, and obviously when I need to pump the tyres up, it's there on the back of the cubby box. And also have here, the regulator is now mounted permanently for the solar blanket from Red Arc. So I have that mounted on the back of this box, and I have now permanently wired some Anderson plugs to the battery. So anytime I need it, I just plug it in. I don't have to lift the seat base because the batteries are obviously under the seat, and run it out to the solar blanket. So that's that. And the other thing I have is, which was just done recently, is so at night getting light or vision to the fridge is no good because there's a little light in the fridge, but now I have this light up there, so that is there permanently mounted, and it, as you can see, it just lights up the whole thing so I can see everything. And that, guys, is about it that I've done to this car.